Okay, we got a smoking hot February afternoon here. She's been rather warm here these last days. Anyway, so for this what we've been moving ahead with is getting all of the heavy steel work involved. This is it's known as a double mat, 2 layers of steel. And all of the steel from the pilings come up and are tied to the mats of the floor, and these are offset, so basically there's no place that has more than a 10 by 10 centimeter or 4 by 4 space without rebar. The PVC lines are in. Those are, you see, that's our 2 pickups that will be in the Infinity Reserve. That one there will be a drain, and these 2 in the Infinity Reserve are separated so that there's 2 pickups, so that if anything happens to one, the other will still be functioning to feed to the pump. Now, things to note. Okay, you notice underneath all of this is black plastic. Now, this being a pool is not for after the fact. What this is when we pour the concrete, that dry dirt doesn't suck the water out of our concrete, which basically lessens the quality of the concrete when it does that. So hence why that was put down first. Now, this is the first pool where I'm doing all of the jets using PEX. This is PEX pipe running inside a protector tube, just cheap poly duct tube, so that they're removable, and there will be 8 floor, these are for the floor jets, so there'll be 8 floor jets in this pool. So to say the least, it will be well aerated, plus that's the idea, is to have this working on an ozone system. You can just see that one there. A little too difficult to get to right now. Well, actually, I just walk around the end here. This will be part. So because all of what we call the white goods that goes with the pool are all set up for 2-inch, what this is a conversion from PEX to PV and reduced down to 2-inch, with the floor jets go into that. So the idea here is, and the proverbial problem with all systems, is they don't circulate particularly well. Going back to the old barn routine, is that whatever jet is at the end of a string gets the least water. The idea between a PEX system and a PEX manifold is to have uniform flow to all jets, so there's nobody being left at the hind tit, as the old saying goes, and not getting adequate supply. So that is the point there. Plus, the fact is that PEX is good for 175 psi, so the likelihood of it ever blowing up is extremely slim. And then we further protected it by putting the tube inside another tube, so that, well, first of all, they're removable if something should ever go really screwy. Anyway, so we have basically all of the form work for the perimeter of the pool is done using forms in a less conventional method, but here, because we push this out, the whole thing from the word go was to push this pool out as far as we could possibly go. So we've done that, and actually the front part of the Infinity is actually cantilevered off of the floor. You see the row of pilings is here. This is sticking out in front of that. But anyways, next week we'll be pouring concrete. Fairly sizable pour of 28 cubic meters coming up next week, because the other thing we've been working on this stretch is the forming of the retaining wall. Now the advantage here is we have basically ordered all of the forms for the pool, which gave us more. We have extras, but that gave us more enough to be able to form up the retaining wall basically free, because we got the forms here anyways, just with all the ties, and then those are all supported with you can see this creates a, say the least, a very solid retaining wall. And our neighbor came by the other day and was kind of gaga because, see, this is supporting and protecting this property, but it's also protecting that property up there too. And so this puppy is not going anywhere for basically eternity. We'll be going into more details on how we're doing the concrete. Now our gutters are basically taking a rest while we're getting this done, but our gutters are mostly, they're like 90% complete. But this was the finish of the culvert coming down, the runoff from the house coming down, the culvert joining up, and then we put this water diverter. If you're following this water diverter will be kicking the water into this gutter to carry it down and off the road, so as not to be eating the road. As well, the upper portion is mostly done, but we can't finish it, of course, until our property line is technically about here. So we carried it up there. That's where our runoff was particularly eating away the property. So here we have to build a couple of waterfalls to get the water off of the mountainside here, but we need a retaining wall finished first before we can go on with that. Anyways, this one feeds into here. So there, that's our gate and structure is here, and we'll be back to that next week. We have a water tank came in the other day. That's our, well, it will, the water tank will sit up here tucked in behind the little shed, but it's here right now because if we, for whatever reason, don't have water in the middle of a pour, that is not a little problem. That's enough water in there to pour 200 sacks of cement, so that's about 25 cubic meters, and that's what we're that's all of our stockpile of cement here. You see under the cover, and our aggregate sitting there getting geared up for our day next week when we will be making concrete like crazy. So with that, we shall sign off till next time.